Hi, I'm Jeff Adams. I'm the author of Tracker Hacker, which is the first book in the Codename Winger series. It just came out from Harmony Inc. October 17th. I want to give you a little backstory onto how I came up with the idea for Theo Reese, who's the main character of the book. He's a high school student, he's a hockey player, who also happens to be a computer genius, and he's a covert agent. And the idea for these kind of coalesced around a lot of movies and TV that I've watched, kind of dating back into even the 80s, if you can believe it or not. The primary idea for it sparked during the Gay Romlit retreat in Chicago. Somebody at that retreat, and I never found out if it was a conference goer or somebody who just happened to be at the hotel, but somebody had a ringtone on their phone that matched what Kim Possible had for her communication device. For those who don't know, Kim Possible is a Disney animated series that ran in the early 2000s. It was on ABC for a while, on the Disney Channel for a while, crops up periodically late night on Freeform these days. It's about this high school girl who is also, she's not a secret agent so much as she just goes around and saves the world from some really good supervillains. She had her sidekick who went with her. Her identity was not secret. People could actually go on a website and request her services, but she also would just go out and do good around the world to keep it safe. So that was kind of the initial idea, because I kept hearing this tone during GRL. And then I knew I wanted to write a YA series, and I wanted to have somebody at the core of it who was many things, not just a computer genius or a computer geek, if you will, not just a jock, but kind of blended up several things into one character, because you don't often see that. And for the computer side of things, there were a lot of movies in the 80s and 90s that really kind of played into what I wanted Theo to be. One of the very first ones would be Tron from 1982. As a kid, I was so enthralled with the idea of getting to go inside the computer and to be a program, if you will. And then there's like the later movies that came in the middle 90s, like Hackers, which had both a young Johnny Lee Miller and Angelina Jolie as teenage hackers who got in trouble for doing a whole bunch of, hacking. If you haven't seen that, highly recommend it, because it's certainly one of Theo's favorite movies. And he actually talks about that a little bit in book 2 that'll be coming out next spring. From some of the more adult-oriented movies, there's Disclosure. That was a Michael Douglas, Demi Moore movie about some corporate espionage and getting back at people through doing some things with their identities on the computers. That was a Michael Crichton book, so that was a really solid story. And then there's the more fluffy The Net that had Sandra Bullock, which also dealt a little bit in identity theft. And then Sneakers, which was a Robert Redford movie that also had River Phoenix in it, that dealt a lot with hacking and espionage using computers again. And thinking about all those movies kind of pulled all together for me, and then kind of what drove it home, even while I was writing the first book. USA Network started the Mr. Robot series. Now, Theo is nothing like Elliot. If you've watched that show, he's not a drug addict, and he doesn't have voices in his head that are telling him to go off and do these things. But like Elliot, Theo is a very skilled computer hacker who can do almost anything given enough time to figure out the problem. The secret agent side of things actually comes from the Jennifer Gardner series Alias. That was one of my very favorite shows while it was on, and I loved how it dealt with Sydney Bristow, who is Jennifer Gardner's character in that, trying to have a real life while she also balances being the secret agent who can't tell anybody what she's doing, and how it affects her boyfriend and all of the people around her, including her father, who's also in the agency with her. And that forms a lot of what Theo's about, because his parents are also in this organization that he works for. And in fact, he got into it because he was trying to figure out what his parents did for a living. He hacked their phone and found out they were secret agents, and then he got swept up into the agency too to do work for them, and it all kind of pulled together. So that's kind of the Alias side of things. So there's a lot of pop culture that goes into Tracker Hacker, and you'll see it peppered in through some of the story as well, because there are characters whose names kind of spin off of some of the people that are in these movies and TV shows as well. So I hope you'll give Tracker Hacker a look. I'm giving people the opportunity on this blog tour to win ebooks and to potentially win a signed paperback as well. So there's a Rafflecopter down below this entry. And if you check out the rest of the blog tour, you'll increase your chances to win on that. I do hope you'll take the shot on Tracker Hacker and pick one up from Harmony Inc.